Okay, hello everyone. Welcome to another Wolfram language design review, part of our language completeness and consistency series. So seems like uh, um, we have
Variety of topics.
yes, a variety of topics.
Yes,
Okay, an option for determining order direction.
right. So, right, sometimes you want to
Sounds
specify,
like
increase.
sort, reverse sort.
Right. So normally we have like sort or reverse sort. Um, so the new function ordered sure decomposition, um, it has an option to control what aspect of the eigenvalues to use for sorting. But it has an optional argument for determining, increasing or decreasing. And I think that asymmetry is bad. Um, and
Well,
so
okay, so hold on. Doesn't solve have a very ancient sort option of some kind?
maybe it has
It's a
this.
different thing. It's the sort option is for sorting variables, I believe.
Well, but it's
Yeah,
crazy anyway,
it's a different sort, sort of.
sort of. Uh,
So I think it was an old option, so it's not there anymore.
okay.
Yeah, old as in it predates me.
That has to be really old.
Yes.
No. The okay. The okay, so the issue is there are a whole bunch of functions where they define some kind of sort order. I mean, there must be ones like Grosvenor basis. There's all these kinds of reverse lexicographic blah 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 sort things, which in principle could be an ordering function, and then what you pick out about whatever it is. Am I right? I mean, there's a bunch of functions that need ordering of some kind,
Yeah, I
where the
think
ordering is not
monomial list
self-evident.
is a
What's that?
is monomial list in that family. Monomial list, I think, would be the one with the most orderings, if I'm remembering the name correctly. Yeah.
Monomial order? You mean? Yeah.
No, it just gives a whole
Yeah,
bunch of
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
different.
yeah, 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 yeah.
right.
uh,
But so
right.
that's go ahead.
Okay, so I guess right. So I guess this is yeah what we've right. So there I feel like this is a slightly different. Well, I guess here we yes. I guess here we put all the right. So we have sorted by, right. So if you want to look at the ref page, I'm not sure if it's in the build yet, but certainly you can look at this draft ref page, the source ref page.
Yeah, but I mean, the basic point is,
Right. And so maybe the mistake was that we have a sorted by option, right? So right. So the and okay, so you don't have the latest version, but that's fine. I mean I made a few edits and I marked it as experimental. Right. So it has this optional argument order or ord as it's called here, which can be increasing or decreasing.
yeah,
And then it has this separate option sorted by, which, can be yeah, I guess it's not listed on this. Yeah, this is actually a pretty old version of the page, but
sorry,
uh, it's it has that can be like abs, re abs im, re im, or I guess it's abs re
okay.
abs
Look,
re.
there are many functions that want to, that are going to give a list of results, and there's a question of what ordering those results should come out in. Now, is this ordering more extreme? Is it more like the monomial list, the Grosvenor basis ordering thing, or is it more like we give a list and we're sorting it in a particular way?
We're not, I mean, we're not exactly sorting a list, right? We're sorting the diagonal blocks in one of, in the matrices. But I mean, essentially, right, we get the eigenvalues out and then we need to sort them some way in order to spit out the decomposition. Um, and
But so, like Grosvenor basis, it's an internal use of ordering. It's not like for eigenvalues or something. You could in principle have an ordering function that says whether you want to get, largest by real value, largest by absolute value, whatever else. See what I'm
right.
saying?
I should point out something, which is that right now, in terms of the implementation, I think we only have a limited set of orderings that actually work.
Fine. That's fine.
Right.
I mean, so something would be in general a function, but it actually would be mostly,
Right. So in other words,
names.
don't go too far generalizing.
Yeah, I understand. But if we're going to
Can I
have
say
such
something?
yeah, go ahead.
We had a similar discussion with tabular and sort by, and the decision there was to have the notation F arrow reverse.
Oh, see, there was a reason I wanted you to be part of this conversation. I was like, you probably, I know you've encountered this sort of thing before.
Where
I
is that
placed
being?
an example in the chat.
Right. So, and as opposed to using reverse sort by. Right. I mean, given that we have reverse sort by,
Well, this particular case, you could do that, but
right.
in more generality,
So that's a way of making this, instead of sorting by identity, which would be 1, 2, 3, it reverses.
right, which could also be achieved by reverse sort by
Exactly. Yep.
in this particular case.
Mhm. I think the idea came from the fact that when there are ties, we have a list of functions in the second argument. And so this notation can be applied individually to those functions.
Ah,
So the issue is essentially for mathematical functions where there is an ordering inside, and it's going to be a named ordering, just like it is in monomial list, at least for the time being. What is the generic name used? The monomial list, for example, has it as an argument. And right now, ordered Schur decomposition has it as an argument too.
no, it has it as two separate things, right? The
Okay.
optional argument is only increasing or decreasing, the string increasing or the string decreasing. And then there's a separate option sorted by that which also takes only string arguments right now, which can be,
Why don't you come?
abs,
Yeah.
right. And so maybe the mistake was having the sorted by arguments. Maybe we should have just had like, abs, reverse abs.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking for that particular case. If that's a special, because that's what we're doing in monomial list, basically. I mean, degree, negative lexicographic, isn't there a reverse lexicographic as well? Yeah, there is. Negative degree reverse lexicographic.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, it seems to me that the natural thing to do would be
Right. And then if we ever could extend it to general functions, that then it would have, right. If we kept these all strings, then it would have to be a symbol or a function object.
yes.
And we could,
I think this one should be done with strings. I don't think we should invent a general mechanism, which basically is a kind of a cheapo way to do, instead of doing, instead of doing something functionally by saying sort of whatever, you're trying to put that as some weird option, Fortran style, so to speak, in the function. I think it's much better for this particular case, where it has its own special use of ordering, just do it with strings.
okay.
That's my suggestion. Normalizing polynomials.
Amen.
What's that?
Just agreeing with that last comment.
That's what we should do.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Right. So the matrix minimal polynomial is defined as the monic polynomial of least degree that annihilates the matrix. Our matrix minimal polynomial doesn't necessarily return a monic polynomial, and there's a sort of a similar issue in Grosvenor basis.
Which is
And
not going to be changed.
Because it's too hard?
Because I'm adamant that it shouldn't be.
Because it's a bad idea, or because it's too hard?
Yes.
Yes, I
With an
agree with
F
that.
in it.
Yes, because I think we used all over the place, and it would just be a mess. I think you have to change
well,
that.
I mean, if we added an option but didn't change the default, we
Okay,
could
that might be.
do. We
Just
maybe
explain
do
this to me again. I don't understand what this is doing.
All right.
What is this?
All right. So this is an example of the option normalize that we have in a bunch of matrix predicates that loosens the restriction. So it's a bit of a misnomer actually, but it's something Zbigniew put in, where it rather than testing that the matrix is truly orthogonal, i.e. has orthonormal rows or orthonormal columns depending on its shape, it just requires that the relevant direction be orthogonal. So, this clearly non-orthogonal matrix is
Okay,
if you
I
say,
got 2 comments. This was introduced at a time when I was not paying as close design attention as I should have been. It's a terrible name. If we can come up with a better name for this that describes it more sensibly, I think we should obsolete this and use a better name.
okay.
Point 1. Point 2, is this the thing that I don't understand? I don't even know what a monic polynomial is. You mean thing with degree with
Starts
Where
with
the
lead coefficient 1.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
what I thought.
Yes.
Okay.
Right.
And you could either generate that as a convention or you could not generate it. And is it sort of there is a natural other thing for the coefficient of the leading term to be, or is it just you didn't do the extra normalization to make it leading?
Right.
Kind of both. The natural thing, depending on your view, if you're talking, let's go with Grubner basis, because that's, you want to avoid rational arithmetic and use integers as much as possible. So the natural thing is to have the polynomials that are content-free.
Okay.
Possibly with a positive leading term.
Positive, possibly positive, yes.
Okay, so there are various options. So what you're basically saying is that sometimes it is convenient to have a polynomial that isn't. So, okay, let me ask a naive question. If you generate one of these polynomials that isn't monic.
Yes, you can make it monic by a division.
I understand that, but the question is, is it always safe to just say monicize this, so to speak? Or do you need to know the innards of the algorithm to know what you're allowed to do?
Might depend on the coefficient domain. If it's something more general than rationals, you might be dealing with algebraic thingies.
Okay, but my question would be, could we factor out?
Right. So I will speak to the case of matrix minimal polynomial, which is where there's only one polynomial, right? Unlike Grosvenor basis, where there are lots of polynomials, and you might start worry about canceling and whatnot. I mean, right? You can just divide by the leading coefficient, and voila. It's actually surprisingly difficult to actually divide by the leading coefficient, right? You need to do something like last at coefficient list.
Yeah, right. But so there's a reason to have a function that basically says monicize or whatever our version of that is.
Right.
Sure.
There may be some zero testing involved too, right? You can get a leading coefficient that's hidden zero, and if you want to make it monic, you probably have to zero test it before that.
Yeah, we try very hard to avoid that situation with both Grosvenor basis and minimal polynomial.
Okay, so let me just ask this: in a Grosvenor basis, if I had a function monicize and I have 6 polynomials in my Grosvenor basis, can I just map monicize over all of them and I'll get something that's right, or do I have to have them be somehow?
Yeah, you could do that. assuming the function worked. You're talking about a function that we've had for over 30 years without this complaint.
Which function? Grosvenor
Grosvenor
basis.
basis.
No,
Minimal
I understand. I
polynomial is
understand.
a
I
whole
understand.
different thing.
Okay. Okay.
Right.
My suggestion here would be, why aren't we introducing a function that just makes any polynomial monic? That seems useful.
Right, the Grosvenor basis
yeah.
is slightly different situation, right? It would have to have the monomial order and multiple variables, right?
Yeah, true.
Okay.
Another issue, particularly with matrix minimal polynomial, is that we allow fairly general extension fields for the coefficients. And so, in other words, the elements in the matrix. And actually, so, you'd be talking about inverting various types of algebraic objects.
Okay, but do we know what they are? Look, the question is, can we factor out this operation? By the way, do we have Roger here? Is Roger here?
Roger's still out.
No, he's out, still out.
Okay.
Right.
But,
I mean, so let me tell you where I'm coming from, right? So we have all these special matrices, and some, right, some of them have, the property that, the minimal polynomial can be read off from, this column, say, right? But because matrix minimal polynomial doesn't promise to give you the monic polynomial, that's not necessarily true. At least, right? Well, I guess right. I guess I could solve this problem by adding monic polynomial. I just think it's kind of ugly that we have to.
I can
okay.
propose a middle ground here for matrix minimal polynomial, which is that in cases where the coefficients are fairly easy to deal with, rationals or reals,
Yes.
that we just automatically make it monic.
Attempts to kind of, yeah.
That would not be dreadful to add.
Okay.
And Itai would be happy to do it.
All right.
Oh, that just slipped out. That just slipped out.
Okay, but okay. I still want to come back to, is it useful, as various people have pointed out, it's kind of fiddly to make a polynomial monic. Would it be useful to have a function that just makes a polynomial monic? Seems like it would.
If it's in one variable, yeah, perhaps.
Oh yeah, if it's in multiple variables, it's a total mess.
Yeah.
Right.
That might be of separate use, but for matrix minimal polynomial, maybe the easiest resolution is just to monosize the very basic cases, which is where they show up in schoolrooms and where people might expect it.
Fine. Let's do that. Yeah, go ahead.
Good.
Okay, but I think separately, there's a question of, do we want the function? I don't know whether its right name is monic polynomial, but I think it seems like that function is worth having.
Yeah, it looks like we need some more general tools in algebraic geometry. Maybe at that point, I'm just saying that this doesn't look like it's urgent or easy to propagate across other things where it might be useful. So
which thing?
The monic polynomial. I'm just saying, I'm wondering whether it should be isolated or whether it should be part of some slightly bigger polynomial development where,
Well, you think about that. I'm not.
Yeah,
let's
sure.
consider this not. Okay.
I'm happy with, yeah, sure.
Okay. Let's talk about normalized and what the correct name for it should be, because it seems absolutely terrible right now.
Yeah.
Maybe we bring that back to another meeting to rename this.
Okay.
I mean, what is it? It's a way of defining an equivalence class. Is that true? Or what would you, in your words, what does it?
In my words, it's, make orthogonal matrix Q, not orthogonal matrix Q, right?
Well,
yeah,
it could
and
be
I don't know.
orthonormal matrix Q.
What's that?
It could be another function, orthonormal matrix Q.
What's the unitary analog of that?
Orthonormal is where they are actually normalized.
Well, I understand,
no, but no. When somebody says an orthogonal matrix or even a semi-orthogonal matrix, they mean orthonormal, right? They mean that something times the transpose, or for square matrices, right? They mean that M transpose equals M inverse, and for rectangular matrices, they mean the right direction of M dot M transpose or M transpose M is an identity matrix.
Is this the same condition as O versus SO in groups for the determinant, or is it not the same condition?
Not even remotely close to. Um,
All right,
right.
but
Right. So you can see that that M there is not an O of 2 for.
yeah, okay,
Yeah.
right,
Right.
I get it. So here's my question: if this, I mean, this may just be a stupid option, right? If this option only exists for these two functions, I think you're right that having an orthonormal matrix or whatever it is would be the right thing to do.
Well,
And get,
except that's the wrong direction. Right. The default value is true because what people mean when they say orthogonal matrix is
I
they
see, is
mean
the
the
thing,
orthonormal. It has
yeah.
orthonormal columns, rows, and columns.
Well, so what would you call a matrix which is orthogonal but doesn't have that, isn't equal to 1?
Uh, a matrix which is row orthogonal or column orthogonal, depending on the direction.
Okay, let's think about this. Can you please bring back a suggestion for what to do with this, which is
Go
either
ahead.
breaking new functions or renaming this option? From what I'm hearing, it would seem like, well, I don't know. I don't know. But the actual option normalized is terrible.
Mhm.
All right, moving on. Okay.
Mhm.
Can somebody give me an example of piecewise, please?
Uh,
Do I need to
well,
type one in myself?
sure. I mean, it's not that hard.
Well, it is hard for the thing because the case where it's really bad. Okay, this I do not like. In other words, this saying true here. I mean,
What?
we talked about this in another meeting.
Yes, and it got referred to here, and I don't know what your problem is, honestly.
I think it's ugly. I think I've used this. It's not a.
I mean, well, especially if you're talking about changing the traditional form, right?
Well, I
I mean,
just
like
think
I
it
said,
shouldn't say. Yeah.
it could say otherwise or something like that, but nobody just omits it, right? If there's a default value, you put the default the traditional notation is the last thing is the default, but you say it's the default, whether it's by otherwise or for all other cases, or those are, I think otherwise is probably the single most common
So it'll
use.
be a gray otherwise there.
Sure.
We can look at that. I also think. Okay, how do people usually format piecewise out there in the world? What are the schemes they use? Because I mean, the other thing that's very ugly is you have a big expression here, and then you have a tiny expression here, and the whole thing looks really bad.
That is how people do it. I mean, that really is how people do it. I mean, I guess I'd have to look at some books and see if maybe they center the left column rather than left aligning it.
That's an
But
interesting possibility. Let's look at this. I just think this is unnecessarily ugly. It doesn't make piecewises as beautiful as they are conceptually elegant. I agree that centering might help, although it's got to be aligned with that bracket and so on. I just don't know. And I really think this true thing, I mean, I would prefer just not to see it there for even in standard form. You're dealing with a piecewise.
right, but like I said, just omitting it is just not done. Nobody would do that. That
Well,
would be even more bizarre.
okay. I don't know. Perhaps we need Roger for this. Okay, since he's the one who.
I think so, yes,
Okay,
definitely.
so please, let's reschedule. I mean, please do an investigation of what other people do in the math typesetting world for piecewise, like 19th century books, if they have piecewise. I'm sure Roger has looked at this. So let's talk when he's.
You're talking as if I have never looked or thought about piecewise. I mean, Other than the true, which I agree is not default, you know,
The rest is nice.
it's completely standard.
Yes, but what can we do to make it? I'm telling you, when that first expression, I don't know what I can do here to make this more complicated. I can, whatever. What am I doing here? I just give me a more complicated piecewise expression. See, this is getting hard to read. I'm telling you, there is a typesetting trick we can use that will make this more sensible. Maybe we need dotted lines between these cases or something. See what I'm saying? It's just rather difficult to read.
I disagree. B, nobody does that.
Yeah.
Okay, but nobody does, we need to fix this. It really is not good. This is very hard to read. It's very hard to read. You're looking down here, and this says, I don't care, if we do something that is sort of gray guidelines of some kind, it's going to help.
Yeah.
I mean, God knows what happens if I have the condition on the right-hand side be I just want to know what's out there in the elegantly typeset mathematical literature.
Okay.
And also what people do instead of true.
I've told you what they do instead of true.
I just want to see some examples. Maybe we can actually look at some examples.
Well, probably the literature will not have large conditions. It'll be really hard to find one.
Yeah, okay, well, fine, but that's okay. Then we'll look at small conditions. Okay, let me just ask for these other things, which ones involve Roger? Because I don't want to be doing these if
I don't think any of these really have to involve Roger.
Okay, all right, okay, fine. Okay, so this is the question of whether an expression given to solve values should work.
Right. And right.
I really wish that this error message was less fancy technical.
Yeah.
Can we please fix that?
What would you say?
Isn't an equation.
Well,
it doesn't have to be
inequality is an
right?
equation either.
I don't care. Just say this is not an equation or inequality, and forget the quantified system.
Okay.
Just forget it. I mean, we got to get rid of these things that just sort of say we're being fancy math pedantic. That makes people just think everything is too complicated for them.
Yeah. That I agree. I mean, it's not an equation or equality would make it clear how to fix it. Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, ideally, just say it doesn't have an equal to sign.
Well, I think it should say equation, inequality, or system thereof, because people certainly do know what a system of equations is.
Yeah, okay. Not an equation, inequality, or system.
Sure.
Or system or something. But this is just being fancy math, and it just doesn't, I think we need
precise.
Devendra, I think
it says exactly
what
can be there.
I know, and it's not what we want. Because it's fine for a professional mathematician. It is not fine for some engineer who has no idea what a quantified system is. Devendra, I think we need to go through and edit these, go get all the messages and just go look through for things like this. We got to get rid of these. I mean, it's just bad.
I mean, it's down the simple route that we're taking, that we're trying to
Yes, but that may be, yes, but I mean,
in a way,
we've let these things get precise and pedantic, and that's lovely, but it's not what we want.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, so what's the answer to whether, so basically your statement is this just shouldn't work.
Right.
And if the error message wasn't so silly, I probably wouldn't complain about it.
Right. Now, it
Exactly. That's where I think, that doesn't do it as well.
yes, and see that I think is wrong.
The end versions do it.
N
For
version
some
does,
reason.
yeah. So that's strange.
Yes, it's not documented, but nroots does it and nsolve does it.
Not from find root, somehow it came down.
But I think that the fact that roots insists on an equation, that I think is just plain wrong.
Yeah, it seems stupid.
I think NSolve does it because I made it do that, and SolveValues probably just inherited from it.
Okay.
Not related to find root or anything like that.
Okay,
Okay, so is this
why did you
documented or not?
Well,
Why did
this
I
is
make
not
it do
documented.
that? Huh?
This is not documented. Right. And so
I have to say I had absolutely no control over documentation at that time.
right. But why did you make this change?
I didn't make the change exactly. The NSolve that we had before that was just a thin shell over solve that didn't really make any sense.
So
But
this is the
when you
offer.
implemented NSolve, made it so that,
1998.
well, so, okay, given that this is not documented, we can quietly leave it, but then make roots work.
Yes, I think roots and nroots should work because a root is right the thing that makes
Yeah, the thing's
zero.
Yes.
So we improve the message issued for NSolve as well, and let roots and nroots be consistent evaluate. Okay, that looks really good.
Okay. All right, fine. Just fix the message though.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. Oh, for God's sake.
Right. We should not have naturals. We have the two different things that people mean by naturals. We have them under very clear names and notations. Um, yeah. So I did this experiment and nothing came up.
Yeah,
And I checked and I mean natural I'm not sure if naturals was there, but certainly natural numbers was there as a keyword, and so I don't know why.
well, so we probably want to make naturals be a keyword, and hopefully it will work then.
Well, natural numbers also doesn't work very well either. So
okay, so that's a separate issue.
Right.
I didn't even know we had positive integers as a.
Yes, you did. I showed them to you, as well as the shortcuts for entering them fancily. Right? You can
Does this evaluate to this, or is this? Did that evaluate?
It evaluates. Mm-hmm.
It's not Z plus that we should be saying instead to keep it as positive integers. I mean, in other words, you've written aka Z greater than 0.
Right, and which you can enter that, right? That's right. You can do X element escape P int escape.
Okay.
And enter it that way.
Well, that's lovely, but why does this evaluate? Why don't we leave it in this form? Why is it useful to have it evaluate? Seems like it'll just mess things up.
No, it's we can actually deal with inequalities and conditions that something belongs to integers. If we have all those alternative forms go everywhere, then it will the code everywhere will have to deal with it.
Okay. Would it be better or not? Look, I agree with you. Odds doesn't make sense. We should do even integers, odd integers.
Yeah.
Okay, let's just have those. Now, this thing here about its evaluation. I mean, I don't think these should evaluate. I mean, I don't know. Would you propose that these evaluate?
Well, I think they don't evaluate until you use them somewhere, right? So,
Yeah,
right,
so
it's the element.
the element
Right.
evaluates it.
Right, because element does a lot
I
of
see.
normalizing of things,
All right,
right?
okay,
So,
fine.
right, like if you say XYZ element reals, right, that will evaluate to something different.
All right, fine.
Right, so this is you know, something you sent out.
Okay, so look, there's a whole class of these things where it's just like do the simple thing.
Yeah, well,
Right?
what do you mean by the simple thing?
Yeah.
We have to have an elaborate calculus of what simple thing means. And sorry, it's complicated. We try and be as consistent as we can. It's going to be complicated, but Devendra, this is what we're signing up for.
Yes, but I already have I mean, there's not enough time now, but I have a page called Simple Solve where I sketch out my ideas and have some examples. So I'm doing a lot of digging. Question, who's the audience for let's say call it Simple Solve. You can look at the ref page, you'll see in CVS, it's already there.
There are two audiences.
Uh-huh.
Educational audiences where people don't know about complex numbers,
Yes.
and engineering audiences, for example, or other applied math audiences where people never use complex numbers.
Right. So I should say straight away that every high schooler in this country learns complex numbers as chapter 1 in high school algebra. So everyone knows complex numbers. The question is, how often should we use them in our solving?
Well, not very.
So
I mean,
yeah,
it's like a case like this.
yeah.
You know
So
what I was trying to do in
yeah,
this
yeah.
case.
So
You know
I
what I
am.
was trying to do. I get a
So,
bunch of garbage here.
yeah. So I mean,
Right,
if you
but
try,
so the question is also, is it supposed to be simple or just not use complexes, which is just two different things? So what should happen with simple solve or sin x equals
I
0?
don't know whether the name should be simple solve.
Or should
Okay?
it be real solve simply?
I don't know.
Just
It
give
should
real
do
solutions.
the right thing. It should do the thing that a person who isn't
Uh,
being pedantic expects. That's the
That
definition.
depends how not pedantic the person is.
yeah. I mean, not Adam. So simple solve.
Yeah,
I think
well, yes, I will concede that, Adam should not be the standard of not pedantic.
By the way, I
But
think
I
I
do
did an
agree that
update
I
here.
do agree with like sin of x equals 0. I mean,
Where
certainly.
is this? I'm sorry, where is this?
it's in CVS. I put it in like a few days.
Well, when somebody has messed up the way that these updates are happening for me.
I mean,
I did a docs update and it did not update a bunch of files here.
Okay,
So something is
Itai,
wrong.
can you check if simple solve the works for you?
I will.
Maybe I did something wrong, but I recall that I just put it in.
Let me.
And so I'm just saying that, in fact, I've got some code in that notebook which will give you some prototype, like, so you can
Okay,
just.
but what does it do in this case?
It'll
Run it.
probably just take away all the complex numbers and do a
Tell me
power.
what it does. What does it do?
It should give the answer 2 times n times log 2 over x. That's all.
Great. That's what I want. I don't want this. I don't want, that's what I want.
Yes,
N
I have an
times log 2
example on
over
that page which does exactly what you're saying.
Yes, I have. Okay, so I do have simple solve.
Can you
Stephen, would you
email it
like
to
me
me?
to temporarily share?
No, why don't you?
Yeah, and if you look at the last example, it's exactly what you just showed us.
Right. So there are many things going wrong here. I mean, log of 2 to the n.
Yeah. Yeah. So I have someone who
it's not real, not over real.
What's wrong with the log of 2 to the n?
If n is real, you can make it into n log 2.
How do I do it?
Positive.
How do I do it? How do I do it? How do I make it into 2n log 2?
Refine with assumption n equals reals.
Okay, we lost the game. We lost the game. Nobody's going to use our software in that case. If it's refine with, nobody's going to use it.
So
I just want the answer that everybody expects in this case.
Like if you're doing a half-life calculation, something like that, sort of like, something like where you
right. So the question is, should it just okay? So it's
you should just
be a real
ignore
solve?
all the pedantry. Yes, you can ignore all the pedantry
in this case.
Which is
so my last question.
We all know this log 2 to the n should be n log 2.
Yes.
Right.
Right. For when it's not.
Except for when you're doing something more sophisticated, complex
Right.
numbers with complex analysis and so on. When
Right,
it's
which I
something
will
different.
point out engineers do because they do a lot of poll analysis. So, maybe for the educational audience, but certainly not for
Well, I think
engineers.
it depends on what kind of engineering you are doing.
Okay.
Electrical engineers, I agree.
So
Yeah.
Did you email this to me? Because it didn't arrive. Did you email this to me?
Itai,
The
did you?
simple solve?
Oh, yeah, you wanted me to, sorry, I misunderstood what you were asking me to do. I will email it to you right
Oh,
now.
sorry, even I could have done that. Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah. Uh,
So I've set myself kind of the task of figuring out what every community wants to do with the solve, and then we try and match all the requirements and come up with simple solve.
And then we may come up with it may be that there's two versions, real
So when you get to
solve
the
and
rest page,
simple
you'll
solve
see I've got a huge set of scope and applications there. So we try and go in every single corner, including math olympiads and all. And I already found examples where simple solve would work, but solve would fail. Olympiad problem, because solve is being very aggressive and not looking for the real solutions at all. So it'll just give up.
Yeah, well, so we did a bad job.
Well, I think it's just that,
honestly, we're too pedantic.
Yeah, so desolve protects itself against the new solve, so to speak. So I have code which won't let it use the old solve from pre-version 8. So so if you look at the last example over there, and in fact, you can try it. If you just evaluate, if you don't mind, it's got some code cell in the notebook. You can just use that function right now.
I'm sorry, what do I evaluate?
No, just try any example from that. From that, it'll ask you, if you don't mind. There you are. And you're off now. And not something to do normally, but right. Okay, let's see where it goes. There you are.
Thank goodness. That's what I wanted.
So it didn't take much time, right? The question is, how do we protect ourselves against people who want more? So we could have something like a generate condition, which is switched off by default.
Yes.
And if people want it, we can just give back exactly what we did along the way to come to the answer.
That's fine, with a bunch of conditions. Yeah, so we generate the conditions. So it says, this is what we do with the conditions that we think are reasonable.
Yeah.
Here are all the conditions we used. If you don't like those conditions, set something different.
Yeah, but for most people, they don't even want, they just want the answer. So we could even have a default which is useful for most people. So I'm working on that. That page has got a ton of things which I want to test. If you scroll down a little bit, you'll see my kind of plan for it. All the way up to robotics. And see, that's an example where actually solve will fail by default, unless you do reals. That's an IMO problem, actually. Not IMO, but very close to that.
So if you say solve over the reals, it will work.
Exactly. But solve itself will give up.
Right, because over complexes, it is more complicated.
Right.
But yeah.
That's really
you can say solve over the reals.
Yeah, we could have just said that maybe. There you are. That's all I've done, actually.
But so this case, maybe we should generate conditions in this case.
Yes. So I'll leave
Adam. What should a person do if they actually want complex solutions?
This message is wrong. It should say basically something about, try reducing the domain. See what I'm saying?
Well, that's very rarely the answer, though.
Okay, not true. Okay, fine. Is
Anyway,
that true that it's rarely the answer? Well,
yeah, sometimes or often actually solving over the reals is more complicated than solving over complexes. Depends, really.
Okay.
Anyway, so I'm working on this. Yeah.
That's great. It's a very, very useful and important thing. And we're going to need a simple simplify or something like that.
Yes. So maybe simple simplify could be part of this, and so it might get used as simple
solve. So how simple simplify different than power expand or simplify that uses power expand?
It isn't. It's just that people will know to do it. They can learn one function. They're not going to learn power expand and trig reduce and options to refine and all that kind of thing.
Well,
just
it
one
could,
thing
it
that
could
just
be it could be just simplified with power expand added to its transformations.
I doubt that that's the whole story. I'm sure there are other things. I doubt that's the whole thing.
I mean, the simple simplify, could also, instantiate constants, which is obviously something simplify you can't and shouldn't do. Um,
Yes, that's right.
but
Yes.
but yes.
Simple simplify is a very unfortunate name.
Yes, I mean, I don't think anybody's suggesting that as a real name.
I know, but if we have simple solve,
Yes.
we'll need a more
Right. And well, I think, yes, I
Should
think
it be simple solve or real solve? Is simple
not
solve
real
different than real
solve.
solve?
It's not real solve because
It's
they're
not.
not with the audience for this is not people who are doing complex analysis classes.
Ah, okay.
They are not supposed to know. They do not need to know what they are not dealing with. If you get what I'm saying.
Ah, okay.
And Basic Solve looks like a really good name. I really like that because it kind of straddles both the high school, middle school, and the engineering kind of people who just
Maybe.
want.
Yeah.
I think, I mean, shouldn't it be like solve with conditions or something like that?
Nope.
A
Nope.
lot of those people don't know about conditions or what that might mean.
Yeah.
The intended audience.
Right.
Um,
I'm not sure that whether that's the right name, but anyway.
We'll do
I
solve.
mean,
Yeah.
right. And, so for example, should this, for the equation, square root of x squared equals 1, what should this give? I guess what does it give and what should it give?
Should give x equals 1.
Comma x. I probably want two arguments.
You
Yeah.
do need to say comma x, but yes, I think yes. See that I think I think
that's
simple
not
solve
bad.
is correct,
It's
right?
not
So,
bad.
but see, a lot of people think incorrectly that should be just x equals 1, but of course,
let me make my criterion. Okay. I don't want to see extra garbage in the output of C1 and conditions and all that kind of thing.
right?
And I
What
don't
should
want
happen
it
with
to refuse to do it.
what should happen with sine x equals 0?
Right.
I suspect we should give the first solution.
Probably just 0.
X equals 0.
Just x equals 0.
Yes.
Actually, this one, by the way, this is something that high schoolers in this country certainly would know really well and would agree with, by the way. I'm just saying, I'm not saying you should not do this, okay? But I'm just saying that everyone would agree with this module. They might want a 0 somewhere rather than a pi. So I'm just saying we should take typical books.
Yeah. Okay. So let's find out we got work to do here.
Yes, and I already have someone who'll work on it, Anush Sargasyan from the team. She's agreed to it. Do all the digging and work through books. And so ref page really is what we have found in our search rather than just cooked up examples.
Yeah. Good. Okay. There's a good use for LLMs to mine the literature and find out what typical things are.
Sure.
Okay. Here's the issue. The issue is these functions, particularly find sequence function, when it fails, returns a find sequence function, which, for example, if you're doing parallel computation, you have a bunch of find sequence functions and they fail, and then the parallel kernels try and return the unevaluated find sequence function. They come back to the master kernel and it locks up because it's got hundreds of find sequence functions that attempt to be reevaluated. So in other words, this particular problem of, it didn't evaluate, but it took a long time to not evaluate, causes trouble in that use case. Now, possibly we should fix that use case to have some kind of flag internally that indicates the thing that's coming back isn't worth reevaluating. Do you see what I'm saying? That's the case where things go very wrong. So how do we solve that case? And for my actual use cases, I would be very happy to have something where, like first or something, where I can give a default value if it doesn't work. Find sequence function. I mean, maybe it's just the specific use case that I had. I was trying to bash a bunch of sequences, and some of them I would get actual results, and others are like failed.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Comments here.
Right. Well, as I wrote, the find sequence function has an optional argument, so I don't see how we add a. I suppose we could have maybe.
Okay. I mean, I don't know what it should do.
But
okay.
Certainly the solution to your particular problem is to, rather than sending find sequence function, is to send that replace all there that I stick in there. So what comes back to your master kernel is $failed.
Obviously, that's what I obviously did.
So
okay, after I figured out what was happening.
Mm-hmm. So.
Well, I mean, there's a separate issue about parallel computation, which we should raise with the relevant people about this tagging of things. All right, I'm not going to push this harder, I guess.
Okay.
All right, I think that's everything for today.
Yep.
Thanks a lot, guys. See you all later.
Bye.
Bye.